Hello! You what? 50 questions? Oh, yes! And with only 2 possible answers, anyone who gets less than 25, well, let's just say they're not having their best day. True or false? Let's begin. Question 1. Jeremiah was a disciple of the Lord Jesus. True or false? That's false. Jeremiah was an Old Testament prophet. Question 2. Jesus walked on water. And that's true. Did it in Matthew chapter 14, as well as Peter for a short while. Question 3. Moses had a brother called Aaron. And that's true. You'll find him in Exodus chapter 4. Question 4. Lot's wife was turned into a pillar of clay. And that's false. She was turned into a pillar of salt in Genesis chapter 19. Question 5. God created man on the 5th day. And that's false. Genesis chapter 1 tells us man was made on the 6th day. Question 6. The 10 Commandments were kept in the Ark of the Covenant. And that's true. You'll find the evidence in Deuteronomy chapter 10. Question 7. Melchizedek was a priest. And yes, he was, in Genesis chapter 14. Question 8. The book of Isaiah follows on after Ecclesiastes. And that is false. It's Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, and then Isaiah. Question 9. Paul was involved in a shipwreck. And yes, he was, in Acts chapter 27. Question 10. John the Baptist was older than Jesus. And yes, he was. In Luke chapter 1, Elizabeth was 6 months pregnant when the angel appeared to Mary. Question 11. Locusts were unclean animals under the law. And that's false. You find the evidence in Leviticus chapter 11, and also John the Baptist ate locusts and honey. Question 12. The seraphim had wings. And that's true, according to Isaiah chapter 6. Question 13. Jacob was the firstborn child of Isaac. And that's false. In Genesis chapter 25, Jacob came out holding Esau's heel, for he was a twin, but Esau was the first. Question 14. Matthew was a tax collector before his calling. And yes, he was, in Matthew chapter 9. Question 15. Solomon was the author of Psalm 23. And that's false, because Psalm 23 was written by David on this occasion. Question 16. The Ethiopian eunuch was baptized by Peter. And that's false, because in Acts chapter 8, Philip was the man who baptized the eunuch. Question 17. Tabitha was also known as Dorcas. And yes, she was, in Acts chapter 9. Question 18. After the Last Supper, they went out to the Mount of Olives to sing hymns. Is that true or false? And that's false. In Matthew 26, they sang a hymn, then went out to the Mount of Olives. Question 19. Jacob was 147 when he died. And that's true, in Genesis chapter 47. Question 20. Hagar was the handmaid of David. No, she wasn't. Hagar was the handmaid of Sarah in Genesis chapter 16. Question 21. Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days. And yes, he was, in Mark chapter 1. Question 22. It was Mary that anointed the feet of Jesus at Bethany. And yes, she did, in John chapter 12. Question 23. Samson carried the city gates to the top of a hill. Yes, he did, in Judges chapter 16. Question 24. Noah was 600 years old when he boarded the ark. And yes, just the 600 years old, in Genesis chapter 7. Question 25. Sarah was the mother of Isaac. True or false? Yes, she was. You'll find that in Genesis chapter 21. We're halfway there. How are you doing? Do you need a rest? Do you need the toilet? You can pause the video and go if you like. I'll be here waiting for you. Question 26. The famine in Egypt during the time of Joseph lasted for 10 years. Is that true or false? And that's false. In Genesis chapter 41, the famine lasted for 7 years. Question 27. Moab threw Daniel into a den of lions. And that's false. It was Darius who ordered Daniel to be thrown into the lions in Daniel chapter 6. Question 28. One of the 10 plagues of Egypt was blindness. And that's also false. None of the plagues from Exodus 5 to 12 caused the people to be blinded. Question 29. Joshua led Israel into the promised land by crossing the river Nile. And that's false. In Joshua chapter 4, it was the river Jordan that he crossed. Question 30. Gehazi was struck with leprosy. Yes, that's true, in 2 Kings chapter 5. Question 31. The river that flowed out of Eden divided into 4 rivers. Yes, 4 rivers, in Genesis chapter 2. Question 32. Saul killed himself on Mount Gilboa. True or false? And that's true. You'll find it in 1 Samuel chapter 31. Question 33. Jesus met the woman by the well in Samaria. And yes, she came from Samaria in John chapter 4. Question 34. Judas was crucified for betraying Jesus. And that's false. He did hang, but he hanged himself in Matthew chapter 27. Question 35. Jacob wrestled with an angel. And that's true. You'll find the references in Hosea chapter 12. Question 36. David chose 6 stones from the stream when he fought Goliath. And no, he chose 5 stones in 1 Samuel chapter 17. Question 37. The disciples were given milk to drink at the Last Supper. Oh, no. They were given wine in Luke chapter 22. Question 38. The angels knew when Jesus was going to return from heaven. And that's false, because in Matthew chapter 24, it says, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father only. Question 39. Joshua took over from Moses as leader of Israel. And that's true. He did so in Deuteronomy chapter 34. Question 40. Solomon imported peacocks. And yes, he did. How lovely, in 1 Kings chapter 10. Question 41. The last 10. Come on, keep going. Gold is the first metal mentioned in the Bible. And that's true. It's mentioned in Genesis chapter 2, verses 11 to 12. Question 42. Abimelech killed his 70 sisters. And that's false. No, he didn't. That would be very harsh. He killed 70 of his brothers in Judges chapter 9. Question 43. Castor and Pollux were used as the figureheads for a ship. Yes, they were. You'll find their appearance in Acts chapter 28. Question 44. Moses made a brass serpent to put on a pole. Is that true or false? Yep, that's true. He did it in Numbers chapter 21. Question 45. Isaiah's wife was called a prophetess. And that's true as well, in Isaiah chapter 8. Question 46. True or false? King Nebuchadnezzar built a silver statue that everyone had to worship. And that's false. In Daniel chapter 3, it was clearly made of gold. Question 47. Jesus healed people on the Sabbath day. Did he, or did he not? And yes, he did. The Lord of the Sabbath healed in Luke chapter 13. Question 48. Jesus refused to pay taxes to Caesar. And that's false, because in Mark chapter 12, he paid the taxes required of him. Question 49, the penultimate question. Joshua instructed that 12 stones were taken with them across the Jordan. Is that true or false? And that's true according to Joshua chapter 4. And question 50. Is it true or is it false that Miriam died in Kadesh? And that is true according to Numbers chapter 20. There you have it. 50 questions, all done and dusted. Now, I'm not expecting you to tell me how many you got. I think you may have lost count. Very well done. So I'll just leave the comments there for you to say hi. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, Tell your friends. Have a nice day. Drink lots of water. Whatever. Until next time. Goodbye and God bless.